So, a couple of things. Tomorrow is the last day of winter. Yeah, spring is here. Welcome, everyone, to the fourth week. And next week is the third week. So, we've had a change of plan. As you can see, Rodolfo is nowhere. So, for unforeseen circumstances, he's fine. He won't be able to be with us today. So the stream that I was going to predominantly do next week together with Rodolfo, I'm taking this week over and I'm doing it by myself without Rodolfo. So, first of all, hello, Sharon, the first person to greet. Do not leave because I'm going to share some interesting workflows, which, if you do any gaming development, I think you're going to find rather interesting. And not only that. So, who else is here? Marco, Yunal, hello, everyone. And yes, I will be showing exclusively Cinema 4D today because I'm neither competent or have, really dove into ZBrush. That is for the ZBrush team to do. Neither any of the gaming engines. But the overview of today is that I'm going to show you some ways to create stylized fire. That's number one. I'm going to show you how you can create flipbook animations, which you can use then to create the spritey little textures for your games. What else am I going to show? I'm going to show you, a bit of how you can do some quick Pyro and a Pyro render. And we are going to share, if you go to the description text below, you'll find a link to the downloadables for this week. That includes a script that does something very, very specific for your flipbook. And what else? I'm going to show you how to loop things. For example, you have a cloth animation or something that you wanted to loop. I'm going to show you how to create loopable segments, which you can then save as Alembic files or something like that and import them into the game engine. So that's going to be an interesting one as well. And maybe I'm going to show you how to make a flag, and then you can combine that with the looping. What else? I have my list here. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is I'm not going to do the housekeeping right now. I'm going to do it at the end or somewhere in the middle, but I do want to show you something. And for that reason, I'm going to bring up this so you can also see me and everything else. Now, let me go and what am I trying to do here? I want to go, oh, yes, I want to bring up the browser window. And this is what I want to bring up. And I want to go to Cineversity. So if you go to Cineversity and you type Toon Effects in your help, just click on this button, type Toon Effects. These are some tutorials that I co-authored in collaboration with Sebastian Pfeiffer, also known as Everfresh Design. And this is how to use standard Cinema 4D and techniques to create Toon special effects. Now, why do we think this is quite important? Because if you're making any kind of two-dimensional or 2.5D game that uses sprites, you can create the majority, if not all, of your little explosions and whatnot inside Cinema 4D. So if you do plan or you're interested in this stylized animation, just go to Cineversity, type in Toon Effects, and as a courtesy of today, in the download package, you're going to receive some of these files so you can go ahead and analyze them and see how they're done. You can watch the tutorials as well and so forth. So for now, let me close this here, and let's see where we're going to begin. Let's begin with this. So this is fun. So if you go to certain big box stores or online retailers or I don't know homewares and so forth, they sell these fake fires that have a piece of cloth and a fan underneath and some fancy lights, and it makes it appear that these are flames and they're not hot. So one of the techniques I'm going to talk about is replicating that to create stylized fire. Now you can always, if you want, export this as an Alembic or just render it and so forth. So let me show you how I put this together. You can see it's an extremely simple setup, but nonetheless, let me maximize the screen so I don't impede your view to magnificence. So I'm just going to go and grab one polygon object. And what I've done here, just to let you know, I'm going to try and keep it as brief as possible. I just remeshed this. I created, you know something, I'm going to do it from scratch because why not? So let's find some ways to create a flat shape thingy. And let's go here. Let's go to my front view. And let's go and get my pen. There we go. So getting a pen or starting with a rectangle, it depends on what you want to do, no problem. And let's change the shape of this. I'll make it editable. And what you can do using your pen is you can go and you can add points by pressing Control. If I'm pressing Control, this little thing comes up, a little dash over there. And if I go here, I can add a couple of points. Then very easily, I can just select these and scale down and do this. And let's say this is, you can go and draw a really nice flame if you want using that. But with my usual tradition is don't make things look good, just make things work properly. I just made that up. Let's take this and make a flat polygon out of it. So there are a couple of ways to create a flat polygon. One of them is just to use a loft with a single spline. This will create this sort of topology. Let's turn on the lines. We've got the lines. Now, in order to get those little polygons, I'm going to put this under a remesh. And let's just increase the density until we get to a point where we have enough, polygons. So you can even go with polygon count. 2,000, let's say 800 polygons. There you go. That's it. Excellent. Let's make it editable. This is fine. And then let's go and make it a cloth. And I'm going to go and add a simulation, a cloth tag over here. Fantastic. Now, I can make a few copies of this. I'm going to make just one more. Just going to make one more so you can see how we can go about doing this. Now, I want my axes to be at the bottom so I can scale them up and down. So select both of these, go to the tools, go to axes, center, and say, I want to move my axes on the -y. And there you go. They're both down there. So now I can scale one or both from their base. If I select one, I can do that. There you go. So let's assume this is what I want to do. Maybe make it skinnier, just change it a bit. And these are my two fabulous flames. BFFs, best fabulous flames. And let's make them dance around a bit. So now they're cloths. And if I press play, they're just going to fall. Let's increase this. So what I want to do, first of all, I don't want them to fall down because fire goes up. So let's go to our project settings. So Control or Command D, or go Edit and go to the scene settings, not project settings. They're called scene settings now. Go to the simulation scene, and we have gravity here. I'm going to remove this gravity. So there is no gravity now, and they're just going to sit there doing nothing. And I want to go, because I want to have more control, and put a gravity object. And the gravity object, by definition, you can see with this arrow the direction it goes. So it goes downwards. And I'm just going to reverse it. I'm going to make it go upwards. And that's because I just want the gravity here to work somewhat like buoyancy. Good, but they're trying to go somewhere. So what we're going to do here is go and select. Let's go to the front view here. Let's go and select all the points down here, or a bunch of points. Doesn't matter how many, just as long as we are selecting some points at the base. And you can go to your cloth here. You can select them both if you want, and go to the dresser, and you can fix these points, or you can use a secondary object and use one of these fancy connectors to do that. Go to Cineversity and look at the cloth tutorials, and you'll find out how exactly you can do that. For now, I'm just going to fix these points, and they become nice and purple. And what's going to happen now is that those fixed points are going to hold the cloth together. And you can see it's bouncing around trying to do something because of the gravity pushing them up. Now let's go and make them a bit more flexible. So select both these tags. And let's go to the surface, because this is where the controls for the cloth is. And there's no stretchiness by default. I'm going to set this to 50. So you can see they're nice and whoopee, and 50, just make them a bit more flexible. There you go. And yeah, they've got a nice little bounce to them. And all I have to do now is go and add some sort of turbulent force and start increasing it, playing around with the noises. And I'm going to extend this to 2000 so it doesn't wrap around. And now it's up to you to control how these are going to move, how large or small you want these scales to be, and so forth. And if you add enough of these, you can get this effect that it makes it appear that these are flames. And of course, you can augment this with some particles or some random little fragments flying up and down. But in any case, just repeating what I've done up to this point, and you'll be able to create something that looks like fire. Now, one thing I'm going to add here. Thank you very much, Sharon. Compliments are very much appreciated. So keep them coming. Jay, hello. Um, yes, you know, let me post up some comments here. So let me go to the comments, and thank you very much, Sharon. Um, constant updates on University. We are trying our best to upload as much as we can. Now, I thought you're making a flag. Yes. Well, funny enough, this is exactly the same technique you would use to make a flag. That's it. So, or a banner. And the original concept was that Rodolfo, he painted a beautiful vertical banner that he was going to integrate in his fantastic gaming scene in Unreal. But because it was for next week, and because I'm a serial procrastinator, I hadn't prepared it. So that's why I thought, well, this is the same technique here where you can, do the same thing. If you were doing a banner, you would do exactly the same thing. So we've done our flames and all that. Let's quickly do the material thing. I want to show you a trick with UVs, because gaming development in game engines do have a lot of there's a lot of stuff going on with the UVs to do various effects, including the Flipbook. But being in Cinema 4D, we also have our own little UV tricks we can do. So I'm just going to show you something very quick. To make it extremely fast, I'm going to go and change to my standard renderer, because I don't want a beautiful render now. I just want a quick gradient. And I'm going to go, and I have this material. So this is standard Cinema 4D material that in the luminance, I just have a gradient. For anyone, double click when you have standard render, or go here and create a new standard material. Double click, go to the luminance. In the luminance, go and add a gradient, also known as a ramp in Redshift. Set it to circular, and make the inside, what's inside a fire, a nice yellow, and what's the outside, a nice orange. I don't know. This is for you artists to do. I'm going to show you how to do things, and you are going to do them. Good. I'm going to do this just to bring it in a bit. There you go. And I'm going to get, that was the opposite. It doesn't matter. Now, if I drop this here, you will see that it's okay. I mean, it's not bad, but it's not exactly what I wanted to do. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to my UV layout, and you can see that the UVs are nice and proper. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to select all the UVs, and I think I'm going to do let me see how I'm going to, UV rectangularize is not going to do it. Oh, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the outer ring, this. So I'm going to go and do UL to select everything around here. So I'm going to press Shift and Shift. I can select in 2D view or the 3D view or wherever I want. I can select my seams. I think I can do now. I want to do fit UV to canvas. That's one thing. And where's my boundary? Yeah, boundary to quad. I need to go to polygons and do boundary to quad. Good. And then with my selected edges here, I'm going to, let's see if this is going to work. I'm going to put points, add UV pins, select everything, and let's go and relax this. Let's go and relax this. There you go. So I have a sort of a relaxed little plane here, and I can clear UV pins and all that nice stuff. And what you see now, look at this. My little gradient now is taking the shape because I've used I've stretched my UVs out, and when they come to the normal shape, they create this nice little thing that appears to be burning. And because these two objects have the same topology, I'm just going to copy the same tag over here, so they're both the same. Do it once, use it as many times as you want, and there you go. So this is just the scratching the very, very surface of various tricks you can do. These are the sort of tricks you would do in your game engine as well. We can do our own little tricks. Now, what do you have? It's a fire simulation. It's not a simulation. No, this is all fake. I have to tell you, though, that 3D is fake, right? I always say that just to make sure that everyone knows there's nothing real about this. It's realistic, but it's not real. So this is the way you would go about creating some sort of fake fire, which then you can use in your little stylized game. Now, let's think of loops. I think that looping animations, especially animations like these, is rather important. Now, of course, this doesn't look very good. It folds too much. But in any case, so let's see how we can go about and loop this. And what I want to do is I'm going to bake some of this. I'm going to give you more real estate here so you can see what's going on. So this is a very long animation. And because we are going to be working in a game engine, and as far as Rodolfo told me, Alembic with Unreal Engine now is quite good to send point level animation like this. And I want to have, any number of permutations, but for this, I'm going to start with just 200 frames. Now, my loop is not going to be 200 frames. It's going to be maybe 90, 160 frames. I can choose that later on. What I want at this point is to have enough frames where I have some differentiation with my animation. Okay, this is good enough. I hope everyone agrees. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go and save it. I just want to have everything nicely saved here. And I'm going to make a new folder, which is going to called live project files. Excellent. And because I want it to appear always at the top, I'm going to put a underscore. That's genius. So this is cloth fire 01A final underscore latest change. Okay, save this. I'm going to create an Alembic file where I want both of these to exist. Now, the material is, I don't need it at this point because the materials are going to be applied in the game engine. I can leave them, I can get rid of them. I'm just going to get rid of them so I have as few as distractions as possible. The next thing I want to do, I want this to be a single Alembic file. So in order to consolidate multiple objects into a single Alembic file, you require a connect object. The connect object is a fantastic object that connects all sorts of different types of things, splines and meshes and volumes and all sorts of things. Anyone that doesn't know, it even connects volumes. So make sure you have the weld off for situations like these. That's going to weld points that are within a proximity of a certain tolerance. I'm going to put them both here. I'm going to call this fake fire. And this is going to deliver a single object. And I have these 200 frames. And I'm going to right click here. And I'm going to go down here where it says bake as Alembic and delete or bake as Alembic. and delete is good enough. It's just going to delete the original and replace it. But I'm going to go to the gear icon. Always make sure you go to the gear icon, which was added a few versions back, and make sure your end frame aligns with the number of frames you want to bake. And let's put this at full project length. Everything else, okay, no problem. Just going to do that. Press OK. It's going to store the Alembic file now in the same folder where I've saved this file. That's why I saved it. And here's my Alembic file. So I can get rid of gravity and all that jazz. All the other parameters have retained the same. The UVs, you will see that the UVs have retained, although this is a single object. Both of these polygon islands have retained their UVs correctly. Okay, I don't need these. Bye-bye. So this is stage one. We have the Alembic file, but this is not loopable, right? You can choose any frame, let's say from 40 to let's say 85, and this is not it will jump boink boink, right? It just doesn't work. So we're going to start now, and I'm going to explain the steps you need to take to create a predictable, loopable, and reusable animation. There are a few steps. In order to do that, we are going to utilize what's called motion clips. It's don't let it scare you. It's for this use case, it's absolutely fantastic. In order to create a motion clip is something like an Alembic file, but it allows us to layer these things here in a non-linear animation style, just like you would do in any editing or compositing program. There's a whole series we've done on using motion clips and so forth. Go check it out on Cineversity. In order to make it work, we need to do two things. We need to select our Alembic, which is now a generator, and press C to make it sort of a modifier. This is a polygon object. You can see, you can do stuff. And the movement of the points lies into this little tag. But because it's a normal object that has this, let's call it, this is a little deformer tag that deforms the points of the object to comply to the data that's coming from the Alembic. And what I'm going to do, I need to bake this into keyframes, because you will see that if I drag this object here, there are no keyframes. The animation data is coming from a file. So now that we've done this and we've dragged it, you saw what I did. I bring up the timeline, the dope sheet. I drag this in the dope sheet. Because it doesn't have animation, it's not going to appear here automatically. We have to force it in. And now with a fake fire remesh selected, we're going to go to functions, and we're going to bake this object 2 keyframes. The type of baking we want to do is neither position, nor rotation, nor any animated parameters. It's what's called PLA, point level animation. And I want to make a copy, press OK, and now we have every position of the point for each frame as a keyframe. I can get rid of the original one. I don't need the Alembic one. Now, all the data I require for this flame here resides as keyframes in my project. The next step for this is to select the object we want to convert into a motion object, and go to the animate and just add motion clip. What do we need to do? Well, let's take all 200 frames. First of all, you can choose how many of these frames you can have available. I don't want position. I don't want rotation. No parameter. I want PLA. It asks you if you want to add anything else, if there's a hierarchy and so forth. The motion clip can add a lot of information from your scene. I'm going to press OK. And now we're going to switch to this interface, which is this over here. What I have now is this clip. It's 200 frames of this thing playing. Okay. So what can I do now? Well, first of all, let's decide how long do we want our looping animation to be. And before I move forwards, I just want to reply to the most asked question we get all the time. The recordings for these streams will appear after the fact on the Maxon Training Team YouTube channel. We are streaming on 3 channels now. We're streaming on the Maxon YouTube channel, the Maxon Training Team YouTube channel, and the Maxon ZBrush YouTube channel. And you can watch it live. You are watching it live in one of these 3. But the recording with the timestamps that our very good friend and mentor, Dr. Sassy, is putting in place for us is going to be only hosted in the Maxon Training Team YouTube channel. So if you want to watch any of these or any previous shows or any shows for the future, because what you're watching now is a week in the future, right? And we're going to go next week, going to go to the past. I'm confusing you. So you can watch all the other shows on the Maxon Training Team YouTube channel. And that's what I wanted to say, but in many more words than necessary. Okay, let's go back to our regular stream. Let's go back to our regular programming. So now we have this thing here, which contains all our data. And there's a lot of things we can do. But what I want to do is find a portion of this, which I kind of like, and then I'm going to take that and loop it, right? So let's see how we're going to do that. Let's say I want to start from here around, right, approximately. Let's go to frame 30. I'm just going to use round numbers. If I want to cut it here, my knife, you right click and you say cut, and you click here and you cut, right? Then let's go to frame, I don't know, 130. Well, 100. I don't know. Let's, right. If you want to make a loop, that is, let's say 100 frames, 130. So from 30 to 130 is the raw animation you're going to play. How much overlap do you want? Because in order to loop, we need to find a way to overlap the animation to go from one state to the other, which is the beginning, right? We're going to see exactly what that means. If we want an overlap of 20 frames, we will need to cut an extra 20 frames of, from this. So now we have 100. It's 130. I'm going to go to 150, and I'm going to make a loop that is 100 frames. So you can see on the top of my arrow, it says 150. So you know where the marker is, and you can see it down here as well. We can place it any way we want by just going there, 140 or 150. And with a knife, I'm going to click again on the line. Excellent. Now, don't forget, just right click. Oh, where's my knife? My knife is here. There we go. Right click, get rid of the connect, and get rid of this. I can always go and extend this by a frame or something like that. And let's get rid of this. So now we have this portion that plays from here, from 30 to 149, okay, or 150. You can see we can make it as big as we want. There we go. Excellent. Now, let's see what we want to do now. Now I want to create an overlap. That will allow me from a certain point onwards, the animation to sort of return to its original state. And the way to do this is I'm going to press Control and make a copy of this. I'm pressing Control and dragging. So now I have this twice. And what I'm doing here, let me put it in right at the beginning. So as I'm dragging it, I can see the numbers. Let's go and overlap this. And what I'd like you to pay attention to is there's a blue little line here. Automatically, when you do this, it's just like an editing program where essentially what it's going to do is it's going to create a blend. So it animates properly. Then it starts blending these two states. And then it's going to continue. Okay. So let's see how many frames have we moved this. We moved from 120 all the way to, let's say, 100. So we have a 20 frame overlap. Correct? So this point of the animation right here, where we say 120, because we've used the same clip as this point right here should be the same point as frame 20 over here. So frame 20 here and frame 120 should be identical. Let's see. Look at that. 20 and 120 are identical. That means we are looping. So right click, cut at 20. And we can go here and cut this one as well. If I wish to do so, I'm not going to do it now. I'm going to right click and uncut, delete this, and I'm going to grab both these, move them to 0, and I just need 100 frames. There you go. We have these 100 frames. I'm going to go from 0 to 100. And we should, in theory, have a looping animation. Let's see this. Look at that. It's looping. Isn't that fantastic? So this is now a motion clip that has a certain amount of overlap, which we defined, those 20 frames. If you wanted a longer overlap, then you just need to subtract those from the beginning of the frame. Okay? And this portion now of my animation, in order for me to export it as an Alembic, I just do it over here. I just go, I right click. I'm going to say bake as Alembic and delete. Let me just save this. Yeah, you know, because power outages. This is motion clip, live project files. This is where we are. And I'm going to go here. I'm going to right click. I'm going to say bake as Alembic and delete. Click on this. I want 100 frames. Make sure you select the right number of frames. Press OK here. This is an Alembic now. We don't need anything else. I can actually go to a new document that has none of these animated thingy-madoodles. I can go and open the one I just did, which is the 1231. I think that's the one. Whatever. Here it is. Here's my thing. It's 100 frames. And here's my looping animation, which is a Alembic. Right? I didn't export any normals and all that. I can get rid of this. Oh, let's make it editable. Let's get rid of my normals. And there we go. Now you have an Alembic file, which you can import in your game engine, and it's going to be looping. So let me bring up my face. I'd like some comments on this, you know, applause. I want, let's see, awesome. That's amazing. Thingy-madoodles, exactly. Monsieur David McGee. Yep, this is, so this looping technique applies to anything you want to loop. This is something that I need to stress. The whole idea that you're going to get a thing, an animation. You can do this in After Effects as well. You get the same thing, you overlap it, and you create some sort of fade in or fade out. And then you make sure the amount of overlap you have, you subtract it from the beginning. That's it. And then you know that that thing is going to loop. For anything you apply that technique, it's going to work. And yeah, that's just about it. That's the universal looping technique brought to you by Noseman Incorporated. Thank you very much. Good. So let me continue here. If there are any questions in any, yeah, nonlinear, exactly. Any nonlinear editor, the same technique. The difference is that when you're working with a 3D model, the transition, the model will move, as you can see here. The points are moving. Let me turn this off. In the last 20 frames, the points are moving from the position they were in this part of the animation. They're moving. This is not a simulated part. It's a blending part between two simulations. But but when you're fading an image into another, it's not very. It won't be that beautiful. But if you're doing random things with noises and so forth, you can make them loop seamlessly. So this is the looping technique, and it can be applied to anything you want to loop. Excellent. Now, what's the next thing I want to show? Let's see. Let's show some Pyro. All right, let's show some Pyro here. Bye-bye. Thank you for your service, and thank you. Now, I don't know how many of you have used Cinema 4D or Pyro and all that. We have maybe the simplest Pyro generator, flame, smoke, and all that kind of stuff. That can be quite powerful. A sip of coffee. Cheers to everyone. So what I'm going to do is generate a very simple Pyro simulation. Then I'm going to render a certain number of frames, and then I'm going to use Cinema 4D to create a Flipbook tile. That's a huge rendered tile that has every frame in sequence, and that you can load it as an atlas in Flipbook Atlas in your gaming engine and use that to animate all sorts of effects. Okay, so and by the way, if you go to Cinema 4D's asset browser and you type Pyro, we have some awesome examples, right? Yeah, it's just awesome. I'm going to keep it simple. I mean, why would I keep it simple? Why not? I'm just going to show you the kind of quality here. It's like a pan and fire, and this is playing real time. It's just calculating on the GPU and all that. Fantastic. Overwhelmed as usual. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to do something very, very simple because I need to keep my sanity. When I look at things that are too good looking, too pretty, I'm jealous of the people, and it's not nice. I'm not an artist, so I'm an engineer. There you go. I'm making a little sphere, and I'm right clicking on this sphere, and I'm going to simulation tags, and I'm saying pyro emitter, and we have fire and smoke. That's it. We can play with the settings and all that. Now, I want to make what I'm going to do is Rodolfo advised me that when you're creating these atlases, it's recommended that you render in grayscale, and then the colorization based on the black and white will be done using some sort of color remapping inside the game engine. It makes things extremely fast. So I'm going to stick just with flames. So let's go and get rid. If you select your pyro tag and you go here, I'm going to get rid of the density. So I'm just going to generate a flame. That's it. This is all I'm going to do, a flame. The second thing is, how many frames do I want, right? How many frames do I want? Well, let's say I want 64. I'm going to go with a power of 2 because I want to make a nice little grid, which is 8 by 8. So let's go with 64 frames. And because we have some upstart time here, it takes a few frames for this. I'm going to just create my pyro to be, let's say, 120. I'm just going to select a number of those frames. Fantastic. And I'm just going to go and render 64 of these frames over here. The other thing I'm going to do is, because I'm going to render this, so Redshift renders these nicely. If you go and go here, go add a pyro volume material, pyro volume, you throw it on the pyro output. That's where you need to put it. And you can, in theory, go and that's it. But I do not want the red and yellow colors. I just want this to render black and white. So let's go to the material over here. Let's go where it says all the way down here where it says temperature, because this is what we're emitting. We're emitting temperature. I don't want the black body radiation. I'm going to go with color ramp. And I just need to make sure that it doesn't have too much intensity. So I can make the scale smaller. A scale here refers to the scale of the temperature of the grid. So I'm just going to go and using my down arrow. There we go. Something like this. There you go. So this is my flame. Simple as that. Good. And it's doing its own little thing. It's twirling around. I do not want my sphere. I just want this. And I can always recolorize it. I can do all sorts of things over here with the colors. I can, anyway, there's stuff you can do. You can sort of choke it outside to make it a bit more sharp. But overall, I'm not going to get in too many of these details, but you can colorize it to be of a certain look as you go, just by playing around with the various settings in your pyro volume. Excellent. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to render. I'm going to render these, and I'm going to render them square. So I'm going to go to my render settings, And I'm going to select, let's make these, I'm going to make them small. I'm going to make 256 by 256. It's going to be a very small render. And I need to make sure that, there we go, it occupies this much. Okay. Let's assume that this is good enough for what I'm trying to do. We can see the square, we can see the safe, the render safe. This is what's going to render. And then I'm just going to go very quickly. I'm going to do everything live here. I'm going to do everything live. Let's see. There's a question here. Why isn't Maxon streaming from GDC when we should showing 25.2? I don't know. So let's see what's going on here. Sorry, I got carried away by by that message. So let's go to Redshift and Advanced, and I'm going to set my threshold to 0.1 because I just want this to render very fast. I'm going to go to the output, and I'm going to render all frames. I'm just going to delete the ones I don't want, or I'm going to make sure pre-roll is here, and I'm going to go, let's say, from frame 30 to 94. Let's go from 30 to 94. If I'm not mistaken, that should be 64 frames. And I'm going to go and save these. I don't need the multipass. I'm going to save them as anything. I don't care. I just want something very quick. I'm going to go with JPEGs in this particular case. I shouldn't do that, but I'm going to do it anyway. Let's go here. And let's go to the folder we're using, live projects. I'm going to right click and create something that's called renders. Renders. I'm going to go in my renders over here, and I'm going to save this here. Fantastic. And I'm going to type, fire. Fantastic. And I think we are sort of good to go. Let's see how fast this is going to render. It should go relatively fast. Yeah. It shouldn't take more than 30 seconds. It's a very good opportunity to see if there are any questions. Let's see. Yeah, yes. Yes, you know, Pyro is awesome and is so easy to get started with. And I've made tutorials on Cineversity, so go check them out. Does fire twist like it's cloth? It depends. That's a good one. Yes, thingy madoodles. Excellent. Let's see. We don't have any. If you do have any questions, let me know. How's it going? There you go. It finished already. So this is right. It gets clipped on the top. I do not care an iota. So we have our animation. This is how easy it is. If you want to change the clipping, you move it down and you render it again. I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do now is show you how you can use MoGraph to load a series of images, and from those images create an atlas. Okay. So first of all, what we're going to do here is we're going to switch from Redshift to standard. And the reason is we will not require Redshift's beauty of render and speed of render. We are just going to use each and every one of these frames I just rendered as and render them as they are. We don't need any kind of ray tracing. We just need a simple scanline render. Now, remember, we have 64 of those. I'm going to go and get a plane. I'm going to make this plane, I'm going to make it 10 by 10. It doesn't matter how big you're going to make it. I'm going to make these one by one. So it's a single quad. And let me put it on the plus Z so it's upright. Then I'm going to go to MoGraph, and I'm going to clone this. And I want to clone 8 horizontally and 8 vertically and 1 depth with a distance of 10 and 10 and 10. Let's take a look at this. So we have this chessboard now. And this chessboard is 8 by 8. And this is equal the number of frames we have rendered. What do we need to do to load each image in each little square is the following. we need to go and create a standard Cinema 4D material because we are in standard. If I double click, it's not going to generate a redshift render. It's going to material. It's going to generate a standard material. I'm going to open my material. I'm going to go to luminance. Luminance just means that it's there. And if we use GI, it's going to use as illumination. Otherwise, it's like a television. It doesn't get affected by light. Unless you have an old television like me, when I turn on the lights, I can't see anything anymore. Then I'm going to go over here and get from the MoGraph something called the original multi-shader. And I'm going to go and save this file because I want everything to be in the same place here. I'm going to call this Flipbook tiling MoGraph, whatever. And we go to the multi-shader and you can add manually. And then there's this magic button, add from folder. When you open this, let me just go quickly and grab, where are we? We are, I'm just project files. There we go. I'm here, renders. And this is the folder that has all my renders, right? I'm going to select this folder. You can't see anything because it's not looking for the specific type, just so that I don't get, we're not conjurers here. We are, I'm going to show you that folder right here, renders. There we go. So this is the folder, same folder, renders. These are the folders we just did, 64 of them, or 65 of them, actually. And I'm going to select this folder. And the chosen files are load. Do you need to create copies? No, I'm just going to load them as they are. So what we have now is that we have all these frames loaded here individually, just with one click of the button. There is one little annoyance, which luckily, and with the help of the absolutely amazing SDK team from Maxon, they wrote me a script. The problem is that the default sampling for anything that gets loaded is MIP. And although it's not a huge problem, each render had its own anti-aliasing. I don't want to add more. No one will be able to tell the difference. But I thought that if someone wants to be pixel perfect, we need a way to change all these MIPs into none. And this is exactly where this script came. It's part of the downloadable. You're going to go and you're going to say open script, and you're going to find it's called texture sampling none. And this is all it is. This is all it is. And when you run this script, it's going to go through every single texture that's loaded in your whole scene, not just here, and it's going to convert all these to none. Therefore, we're not going to get extra anti-aliasing, extra blurring, which is MIP in this case, on our images. In this particular case, it would make absolutely zero difference. But I want to provide you with a method to do this absolutely properly. Excellent. So now everything is loaded. They're always loaded in the order that their name is. And I'm going to take this material, I'm going to put it on the cloner over here. Now you see that the fire is upside down. That's not a problem. It's because the plane was in plus Z. I'm going to put it minus Z. It's over there. And these are different. So this goes towards the right a bit. And let's see, is it, let me see. Oh, let me see if I need to go here. Index. You have to go index ratio, not color brightness. There you go. Now we can see the animation properly. Okay. So the order that these have been loaded is because when you go to your game engine, you are going to define how you want these to be read. What is a sequence? And if you want to see the sequence, go to the cloner, go here and look at the index, and you will see that the order is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Is that the order? Or is it messing up what's going on? It should be 1, 0, 1, 2. Anyway, I'm going to check it out because we did and it worked in the previous test. But in any case, we have this atlas now, and it should work in some sort of way, left or right, up and down. You can experiment with that. What I do want to do here is render this as one square. And you just need to do one very simple calculation. We have 10 centimeters times 8 is 80. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. I'm going to go and create a camera. And I want this camera, first of all, to have no rotation. So right click to get rid of the rotations. Right click for left and right and up and down. We want it dead center. Let's activate it. But the question is now, how do I frame this properly? You have to do two things. First of all, you need to go to your output and set this to a square and make it the resolution. So remember, these were 256. Anyway, I'm going to make it less. I'm going to make it 128 times 8. And if I tab, that's 1024 and 1024. Or if I want to, I can make it 2048 and 2048. Just put the number that you want the resolution of each individual one to be. Because your tile is going to be an eighth, because it's 8 tiles, of whatever this is. Now that I have this 2048 here, and it's done, I need to find a way to place the camera in the position where it's going to look exactly over here. And there is a couple of things I need to do. Go to the camera and set the field of view to 45 degrees. Sorry, 90 degrees, what am I talking about? 90 degrees. And the reason we want 90 degrees is that we want it to be half of a square. Okay? And because if I move this close, the square's diagonal is the size of this from left to right, which is, I remember, 80. That means that the distance of the camera from here to here needs to be half of 80. So if I put this and make it minus 40, mathematically, it's in the perfect position. When I render this, this is going to give me the perfect flipbook animation. Yep, this is what's going to happen. And yeah, and this is going to be the flipbook you are going to use to do your animation. I'm trying to figure out, because now I'm a bit, so the animation goes here and then it goes here and then it goes here. I'm trying to figure out how exactly the animation is going. I'm trying to figure it out here. Anyway, I am going to, yeah, we did test this and it did work clearly. And if I render this, I want to make sure that the fire animates properly. And this is not the same as that. And now I'm seeing something different. I will post about this. This, for some reason, doesn't look the way I wanted it to look. And I don't know. It appears that every column is the same. Yeah. In any case, I'm going to check out why I'm getting this oddity here, which I didn't see earlier. And I'm going to post either a quick tip or a video. Yes, it is Noseman. Replying to a question. It is me. Yes. So that is per flipbook. Now, let me look at my list here. If there are any questions, left to right, bottom to top. The reason why, David, this seems odd is because these look the same, these look the same, these look the same, and so forth. And I'm trying to figure out what my mess up is here. Anyway, I don't want to get caught up with this little detail too much. I am going to figure it out, and I'm going to, if for anyone that doesn't know, just to let you know, I'm hanging out at Twixer, Twitter, formerly Twitter, now X. My DMs are open for requests and questions and all that. Introduce yourselves, and I will post something about this, or it will find its way in some sort of tutorial. Every piece of information always finds its way as a tutorial. So, yep. Yeah, the animated preview, we didn't load a movie here. I didn't. So the question here was animated preview. This applies when you load a movie. I haven't loaded a movie. I have loaded individual frames. And let me just check the names. Let me just check the names. Fire 30. Fire 31. I maybe the reason is I have a suspicion that the reason is that the naming starts from 30. Now, this could be one of the reasons this is happening. And 30, then 31. I don't know. This now is, oh, okay, there is something about the naming. So it didn't load the correct ones. Okay. So it appears that there was an issue with the naming. So let me quickly, I'm going to go and load another Flipbook frame. This is that's the frame. No, that's the previous one I did, not this one. Let me see if I can. So it is the naming. So it's, yeah, that's a tricky one because the previous one I did, when I did this, it was a different. Yeah, the naming started from 0. So there may be some sort of issue with having names that don't start from 0. If that is the case, March scenes, Flipbook flame. This is the final Flipbook. The renders. Let me check out and see if that is correct. Let's go. Let's go here. Let's go here. And sorry again for all this. I just need. I can't let it go. Just can't let it go. Flipbook flame. The renders. So these start from 0. So if I copy and I go here and I paste, select folder. Nope. So these are the previous ones. I'm going to leave it at MIP. And how many of these do I have in here? 65. So it's the same thing. So this, yes. So this is correct. So for some reason, when the naming, and there you go, we have new information, right? This is about training. This is about learning. Make sure that your frame numbers begin from 0, because otherwise you may have certain issues, which we've seen right here in front of us. Excellent. Do we have any questions? Because we're at the top of the hour. Let me see in my list if we have anything else interesting to show. Actually, I'm going to show a few more things. We stylized the fire. Let's see the Pyro assets, black and white render, Flipbook using MoGraph, the tune stuff. Let me give you a very quick overview of the nice, beautiful little tune thingies you can see what's included in that little package. So it's a crash, and this is with Cinema 4D's standard renderer. So this is you can always convert these into Redshift using the new tune, but this is how to set it up with all sorts of volume stuff and so forth. We have tornadoes here, and we have a wave. These are great little things you can build if you're building a 2.5D game, platform game, or anything like that. These are beautiful little ways to create your graphics. We have sort of a flame and smoke here, a tuned plasma. And you'll find that the tutorials on Cineversity, I'm going to show you when I do the housekeeping closing, where how to create these. And yeah, these were created a long time ago. It's you know, old school stuff in Cinema 4D. And let me show you one more thing. I want to show you one more thing. I did that flame, and I did that flame using cloth. You don't need to use cloth. If for whatever reason you can just go and fake even the motion. Or let's assume this is a flag, right? I'm going to make it into a flag. There you go. Fantastic. And instead of using simulations, I want to make this appear, that is flapping, using something else. I want it to be very deterministic and work any way I want. Well, go and add a plane effector as a deformer, or any deformer for that matter. Make sure that you're deforming in the normal direction, so in the Z, local Z. And go to fields and add a noise. So random field, and let's make it bigger. And you can play around with the various sort of noises and so forth. You can do combinations, and you can increase the animation. So you can create something like this, and then I can go and say, well, I want these to move less. So you're going to, on top of this, you're going to add a linear field. I'm going to move it here, and I'm just going to go and multiply it. So now what I can do is I can control pretty absolutely where the motion is going to occur using my gradient and so forth. And of course, it goes left and right. That's because this is clamped, and I want the values. I want to remap these. So go and let's add some remapping here. Let's remap this, and actually not remap, but range map. Let's go and range map this, and minimum. So now it's going to go half and half over there. I can move this in the center. Or I can just not range map this and just go to the random field, and in the remapping, I can say the minimum is minus 100, and the maximum is plus 100. So it's going to go both left and right. But this is just to illustrate that you can spend some time to make things look a certain way, and you don't need, of course, this is a terrible flag, but it could be some sort of background object that's sitting somewhere in your scene with a little flagpole over there, and it's there you go. You have a little flag there, and you don't want to do simulations and so forth, and you can just bake and loop this if you wish. Anyhow, that is it for these sort of assets. Tomorrow we have the Ask the Trainer. So if anyone is interested, join me on the Ask the Trainer and ask any questions if you wish. What else? And let me just stick with me for a few more minutes so we can do the quick housekeeping here. And first of all, if you want to stay in touch or go to this one page that will lead you everywhere, use this link, the link I'm posting down here. And this little link is going to bring you to this page, and you can go to the events page using this. And these are the events where you can see all the upcoming shows and all sorts of shows and events that are happening, and we are participating. Fantastic. You get all this information. You can also visit Cineversity and the YouTube channel for the training team, or even sign up for a newsletter. And you can also ask your questions for the Ask the Trainer. Any question you ask, we get it in a spreadsheet, and any questions that we get to during the show. I know a lot of people are very happy with the service they receive. We just want you to be happy. The Maxon Training Team YouTube channel, please go there to find everything recorded and timestamped. Go to the Maxon YouTube channel to check out amazing presentations by our very talented artists and tutorials. Everything free. Maxon ZBrush, learn ZBrush. People, learn ZBrush. Enough said. Go to Cineversity and check for tune effects or even particles, or even nodes. For anyone who doesn't know, I've started creating nodes. We had a great 4-week series with Dominic Rockley, one of the most talented people I've ever met, and a really, really, really cool guy. I don't have enough reallys to stress it enough. And a bunch of tutorials from yours truly about nodes, so you can go and learn how to do various things. I think there's a playlist with these. So don't forget. Then go to ZBrush Live. This is the calendar for ZBrush Live. Let me copy and paste it here. These are all the events that's happening in the ZBrush world. And then when I want to feel a bit depressed, because generally I have a huge ego and I'm always right and all that. And when I want a bit of humility, this is a new word for me, by the way. I go here and I tell myself, Holy Mother of Sculpts, I can never do these things. And I look at these and I realize that other than being immortal, I'm otherwise a normal human being, despite my beauty and strength and mental prowess. Excellent. Anyway, I'm going to end on that note. And I'm also Greek. Please join us tomorrow if you want. And don't miss next week's Create with Maxon, where our very good friend, resident ZBrush extraordinaire, Rodolfo Silva, is going to show us some more stuff. I'm going to be hanging there in the background, talking to you people and asking Rodolfo questions. Thank you very much. It's an honor to be joined by every single one of you. And we'll see you on the interwebs. Don't forget, subscribe to all of Maxon's channels for your benefit. Let me find the button now. And let me go and do this. Toodaloo, everyone.